trying to get hold of
We're having an argument
No,
here.
well, yes, you two are. Every week. Mom and Dad are fighting again.
From the Sugar Shack Studios in Texas, USA. It's the InWheelTime Car Talk Show. Coming up, Aiden Bergsman, or as Mr. Mars calls him, Bagman.
Well, if he don't answer the phone, he's going to be...
from Anderson Economic Group, talks Trump's tariffs and the automotive world, Part 2. Jeff will bring us some car culture with trips in the back seat of the family truckster station wagon.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mars reviews the 2025 Infiniti QX60. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars down there. Right here is we always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Nod Nordsma.
Good.
Yeah. You ever heard of Nod Nordsma?
I have now.
Well, Nod is
Don backwards.
Don Armstrong backwards, yeah. Nod Nordsma. A good friend of mine who's no longer with us, that would be Roger Bateman, came up with that in one of the newsrooms that I worked in years ago. And so everybody had their name spoken backwards.
Oh.
And I think his name was Regor Nametab.
Okay.
Roger Bateman.
Okay.
So, anyway, so there's a salute to you, Roger Bateman. So we're going to try to get a hold of Aiden Bergsman. But in the meantime and in between time, we can still kind of go over this because Automotive News kind of puts a nice spin, if you will, on this. President Trump temporarily suspended most of the reciprocal tariffs he implemented on U.S. trading partners just hours after they took effect April 9th. But numerous tariffs remained in place, including 25% duties on automotive imports that analysts and automakers have warned could lead to skyrocketing vehicle prices and significant production shutdowns. U.S. is still collecting 25% tariffs on vehicle imports today. That duty went into effect April 3rd and applies to all vehicles except for those from Canada and Mexico that meet the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement's regional content rules. Those vehicles have a 25% tariff only on the value of their non-American content. As I talked to Aiden about a couple of weeks ago when we spoke to him, it's just not black and white.
Right.
That part came from here and went from there to here to there, and it's going to be something bizarre or in between that the tariff gets placed on.
Put a puzzle together. And
steel and aluminum tariffs still in place. 25% on steel and aluminum tariffs still in effect. They apply to steel and aluminum imports from all countries. In response to the flow of fentanyl into the U.S., the tariff, 25%, continues on Canadian and Mexican goods that do not meet the terms of the USMCA, that agreement that I just told you about. Well, most vehicles and parts from Canada and Mexico meet those requirements. The ones that don't are subject to the duty plus the full 25% auto tariff. A 20% tariff on Chinese goods also remains in effect. That duty stacks on top of the auto tariff for vehicles and parts shipped from China, which is, last I heard, was 145%. Reciprocal tariffs are mostly suspended for now. On April 2nd, they were suspended until July 9th. Tariffs on imports from most trading partners range from 10% to 50%. The individualized tariff rates are mostly gone, but a 10% baseline tariff is in effect instead. It applies to goods from all U.S. trading partners except Canada, Mexico, and China. Canadian and Mexican goods are exempt from this reciprocal tariffs. More tariffs are on the way as negotiations take place. Trump has promised to implement more sectoral tariffs, including on semiconductors, copper, pharmaceuticals, and other products. It was unclear what the scope of those tariffs will be and when they might go into place. So all of these government divisions, if you will, government agencies that are getting axed, I think they're going to have to put it on a new tariff department. Yeah, how do you keep track of all of that? That's the real sticker.
You handle automobiles, you handle farming, you handle pharmaceutical, you handle this, segregated.
It's nuts is what it is. It's hard to believe.
We're going to handle the liquor division.
You and I?
InWheelTime, liquor division.
And then
Mike will do the brown water side,
I'll do the clear.
You can do the gins and stuff.
Okay. And you can do the imports from Colorado.
the tequilas and stuff like that. Yeah, imports from Colorado. That's a different division altogether. That's a federal division there, buddy.
No, I think that falls into corn.
Corn, yeah, farming.
Farming.
Farming, yeah, yeah. I know some people that could be good farmers.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes, you do.
Old McDonald.
Old McDonald
was
had
a
a farm.
farmer.
Mars, are we going to be able to do this interview?
Yeah, we had an email issue. He's coming right now.
Oh, he's coming in. Okay, good. All right. So I've kind of set the stage. I don't want to move on unless if he's going to be here with us in just a minute.
Yes.
Because it's too good. Aiden is with AEG Consultants identified many vehicles commonly identified as American cars. These are manufactured by GM, Ford, Toyota, Honda, Tesla, and Chrysler. They also looked at some BMW, Kia, and Mercedes-Benz vehicles assembled in the U.S. with 2025 models being used as a basis. They estimate the tariff costs that way. And if you'd like more information, you can go to andersoneconomicgroup.com/tariffs, and all of that. You'll be able to get more information if you're really into this.
Drill down in it, yeah.
Yeah, it's so difficult to try to put into words exactly what the tariffs are on what vehicles and how much the exact tariff is. So from what I understand, they're going to put a sticker on the window sticker, when they do that at the dealership,
right,
that's going to include the tariff amount for that particular car.
Saw a commercial this morning before coming to the studio. I think it was Hyundai, and it says these are non-tariff vehicles. So they're already in inventory is what it is.
Yeah, the ones that are already.
They want to make clear because there's people are smart, but then again, they don't do the research to find that out. They don't do the due diligence.
I see Aiden.
There he is.
Okay.
Fire him up.
Yes, let's do
There you
that,
go.
shall we? Aiden Bergsman, it's good to talk to you. Good to see you.
Yes, hello, gentlemen. Good to be back.
Well, thank you very much. I know that you're not busy at all. I thought, Mars, you can actually, he's really busy. I don't know whether they can get him on or not. Well, let's try,
He's
shall
in
we?
the office. You're in the office right now?
In his
Yep.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a coat, tie on, and everything.
Yeah.
I know, you're looking sharp.
I
So,
feel underdressed.
Aiden, I just ran over a auto news story about trying to break it down, but as you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, we probably spread more gray paint on the whole issue because it is so complicated and so interwoven. And now it's boiling down to, hey, was the cigarette lighter made where? It was made in China. Oh, that's part of the tariff thing. Because that's basically what it is. If it's not made in America, then there's a tariff on that particular piece of the car, even though the car is built in America. So maybe you can help us understand all of this.
I can do my best. It's like you said, it is very tricky, and with kind of the back and forth, and it's hard to remember which ones are even in effect anymore and which ones aren't. But the current situation, as I'm sure we're all maybe aware of now, the reciprocal tariffs that were announced just last week, those have been paused. But the ones that are still in effect are those steel and aluminum, and the, as you mentioned, tariffs on the car imports and their car components. So it does come down to just, where is this component coming from? Is it the U.S.? Is it Canada, Mexico, somewhere in the EU? There are some exemptions that I think they're still working on. If they fit under the USMCA, certain components may not be hit with these tariffs, but that's still something that they're currently working on trying to differentiate.
Well, my take on the 90-day pause on this is that I would imagine that whatever department you want to call this, the tariff department within the United States government, that those guys are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, setting up meetings with all of these countries and trying to then hash out, okay, where are we going to settle on this to move forward? And I would imagine that there probably aren't enough people within the United States government overall to be able to handle all of this, because each government has their own entity that handles tariffs. And so the leader of that country says, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Now you guys go back and you straighten it all out and you fix it up and you do the negotiation with the United States. Isn't that the kind of read that you get on this?
It's certainly a lot of back and forth, and you guys joked earlier that you guys thought I was pretty busy. They're certainly busier. Like you said, working around the clock, and the uncertainty of it all definitely adds to it. I think where one day you're thinking all of these other tariffs are going into effect, and then shortly after, now they're not, and they were probably spending a lot of time trying to hash that out, as you said, and figure out how do we go about implementing these and what's going to be impacted versus what's not, who's involved and who's not. So it's I think a very laborious process, and like you said, they're probably working really, really hard to figure that out.
Do you think that we'll ever see a free trade agreement between countries again, between the United States and country X or Y or Z?
I really hope so. I think that's the way that it should be. I think as from one country to another, we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses, things that we're better at producing, or easier access to natural resources, and we shouldn't try to be so self-reliant, because there are other countries that can do some things better than we can, and we can do some things better than others can. And I think for us to all gain the benefits of what we all can do very well, it does have to stem from some free trade and relying on others, and being okay with not being able to do everything yourself, because you've got your friends and allies out there who can help when you need the help.
Well, it is a global economy, and I think that we for decades now have really been working on a global economy. Unfortunately, I think that there are some countries that have taken advantage of us, and as I just go by what Donald Trump says, that they're raking us over the coals, so to speak, on many items with the tariffs that they place on American goods, and then we have to pay all of the extra. It's just a bad, biased kind of thing that needs to be straightened out. But beyond all of that, I wanted to focus with you for a moment now, because we have a lot of our viewers and listeners that really want to talk about stock prices, what it's doing to the stock market, and how it affects, even if you're not in the stock market, how it affects people. So I'll let you try to guide us on this kind of discussion, because I've got a 401k. I'm invested in the stock market through a 401k, and I know what it's done to my 401k here recently is not a good thing. So what is your take on this?
Well, I think much like everything else, it's pretty taxing to experience and to see, and much like you, I also have a 401k, and so we're seeing effects of that as well. And I don't have any other kind of personal stocks or investments, but for people that do, it's you're hearing all these stories of just from one day it seems to be recovering, and then the next an announcement is made and everything just starts to tumble, and it's across the board. And from what I just see in the news and from friends or family, it's a lot to take in. Not only are we, from our perspective, focusing on the auto impact of it, but it's, really being felt everywhere.
Aiden, I got a question for you. If they came to you and said, Aiden, fix it for us, what would you do? What's your opinion on how it should work? You can pick a segment. Pick just the automobile segment.
Sorry?
Just pick the one segment, like an automobile segment.
To fix with all of the?
Exactly.
That's a good question. I mean, I certainly don't think, trying to target these components that come from other places is certainly going to help. If a certain vehicle line is going to be relying on maybe a lot more Canadian or Mexican components, and we're just targeting that, then, I mean, what are we doing? That car's just going to get more expensive.
Yeah, or wrap it up into a bundle, like, okay, you've got Don's suggested cigarette lighter from the automotive side, but you may have a fruit, or you may have cattle. Kind of bundle that all together as one tax rather than individual. That's the way I look at it. That's the way my opinion should be done.
I mean, yeah, tariffs are a pretty tricky thing, and especially when they're all widespread like this and hard to keep track of. I think it can be a little hard to keep track of maybe what the whole underlying point was, and kind of what that solution is, and how we can maybe make these more beneficial for people, rather than seeming like this, dark cloud looming over that things are just going to get more expensive.
Right.
And that things are going to get worse, and we're going to lose more money in the stock market. You know, a good friend of mine actually handles my 401k. He told me several years ago, hey, look, there's going to be bumps in the road when it comes to investments with your 401k and that sort of stuff. He said, the best advice that I can give you is don't panic. Everybody wants to, stop all your stock market stuff, stop everything that you're doing. Ride it out. Chances are, if you look at the past history of the stock market, it will even itself out and it will bring itself back. And it was I heard on the radio, they were using a 10-year analogy of the stock prices. And if you bought the stock 10 years ago, and you look at it on a year-to-year basis, you get this wavy line where it comes and goes, and it gets better, it gets worse,
roller coaster.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, the value of that $1 piece of stock that you had has already grown over the years into something that you would typically not find if you go to your local bank and put your money in a savings account.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think panicking can only make it worse for some people, and is going to add more stress and more anxiety and all of that. And you're right. Over time, if you select a large period, you're going to have those ebbs and flows, the ups and downs. You're going to have times when you're doing really, really well with your stocks or your investments, and because of that, it's when the times are a bit tougher and you're seeing those declines that you need to remember that you're going to be okay. You've been doing pretty well before and up until that point. And there's always going to be the positives and negatives. It's not always going to be just a really, really smart investment that only gets better and better. If that were the case, I'd like to know which one that is, and I'd like to join in that one too.
Yeah.
In your job, what are you focused on right now?
Well, we did our update to our tariff analysis, which our first iteration of was really just focused on the Canadian and Mexican tariffs. And at the time, what we were finding is we're going to see these impacts on vehicles with those, the reliance on those countries for components or assembly or manufacturing. And at the time, some of the winners, it seemed, were going to be vehicles from either the EU or from Asia that weren't relying on parts from those countries, and they could not be as impacted. But now with these across the board autos and auto parts tariffs, we've updated it, and we're now kind of seeing that narrative flip where we're still seeing these costs going up for North American produced vehicles, but also we're seeing some pretty steep costs for vehicles with heavy reliance on European parts or Asian parts, because those are now being rolled into these tariffs.
Well, somebody said on the news the other day that, I've got to go out and buy me a new car right now. And the cars that are on the ground in the United States at the dealerships, those really aren't any more affected by what's going on in Washington and the current tariff ups and downs than they were before. So if you want to go buy a car, buy it off the lot is my suggestion.
Plenty of inventory.
I read a story and mentioned it earlier before you came on that and I don't remember what manufacturer it is, but they're holding all of their imported cars. I think there was an Asian company. I don't know, it was Hyundai or somebody.
It was Hyundai.
But they're holding all of their cars that are coming off of the ships at the port. So they're not sending them to the dealers, so they're going to try to ride it out as long as they can until they get the tariff situation straightened out with their country.
Yeah, I think you're right there. From what I've heard, the vehicles currently on lots, those aren't, they didn't pass through the borders and the ports with these tariffs in effect. So they weren't, nobody had to pay for that tariff. The costs weren't going up. I'm sure you guys have seen some commercials. I know we have some here. For the ones I've seen were Ford and Jeep rather, offering employee pricing for some of their vehicles, and I'm assuming that's for these, at least the vehicles on lots currently. So we're starting to see now some of the responses from these OEMs and how they're handling these tariffs, and at least initially it seems like they're trying to get with the consumers and show them that they're at least for now that there's some benefits and that they can not have to worry too much about going to the lot and seeing these prices skyrocket.
So it's AndersonEconomicGroup.com/tariffs, and that's where we can drill down into the latest report.
Yep, that's correct. We released it a couple of weeks ago, I think April 2nd. And as this continues to develop, I'm sure we'll spend some more time even adding more vehicles to our analysis, and really drilling down into the minute details of the tariffs coming from which countries and how much.
Well, Aiden, it's a great pleasure to have you on the show with us. I know you're extremely busy, and I know that this was a kind of we got to talk to those guys again. But we truly appreciate your knowledge, and thank you very much for spending the time with us today. You take care, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, we'll do. Happy to be on. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiden.
Thanks so much. Aiden Bergsman, Anderson Economic Group. All right. Let's take a little break, shall we?
Yep.
Okay. Just ahead, Mr. Mars reviews the 2025 Infiniti QX60.
All right.
Along with Jeff's car culture feature, and the InWheelTime car talk show will be back.
InWheelTime dancers.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll be looking forward to that.
You've waited all winter, and it's finally here. The Tailpipes and Tacos Spring Cruise In. It's been a while, but the popular Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In returns to the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, Saturday, April 19th. Make any donation to Shirley's Kids and get a free breakfast taco. There'll be mimosas and Bloody Marys, too. Get to the best cruise in of the year. Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, April 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. Cruise in, make a donation of any amount, and grab a free Lupi Tortilla breakfast taco. Tailpipes and Tacos only happens at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 703 West Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of the Katy Freeway. Join the car camaraderie, and your car will automatically compete for one of 3 chili pepper trophies at no charge. Spring is here, and what better way to celebrate than with a free taco at Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, April 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. The InWheelTime Car Talk Show will be there too. We hope to see you then. Come on out. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com.
Hey, the InWheelTime Car Talk Show hits the road literally when we join the Hot Rod Tour of Texas, April 26th. Join our link to the website through InWheelTime.com. Thanks for riding with us today. And it's time now for Jeff's Car Culture. Remember riding in the back seat of your parents' station wagon? A lot of people do.
Yep.
And we're ready to hear all about it.
Yeah, these are things that kids rode in a station wagon remember. If you grew up in the 60s or 70s, chances are you spent countless hours in the back of that wagon. Before minivans and SUVs took over, these wood panel beasts were the ultimate car family. Those of us who survived the pre-seat belted days have some unique memories of the what your kid did as a kid back there. Nowadays, the kids won't understand. The first one we talk about is the coveted rear-facing back seat. The rear-facing third seat was a prime real estate. It was people would fight. The kids would fight over who rides in the back, waving at cars behind, making faces at other kids. It was like having your own private
at the people
clubhouse
back there
on wheels. If it meant getting a little car sick sometimes, that was okay too. And the next one they appreciated was the way back was our territory. The vast cargo area behind the seats was our domain. Kids sprawled out with pillows and blankets on long trips, reading comics, playing games, or just watching the sky through the rear window. No seatbelts, no rules, just freedom to roam in our rolling living room. The third one we appreciated was wood paneling. It was cool.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Those fake wood panels on the sides were the height of style. Whether it was a Ford Country Squire, a Chrysler Town & Country, the wood grain siding made our cars look like surfboards on wheels. We had no idea how tacky it was, decades later. So
family truckster, baby.
There you go. And then we have the manual rear window. The rear window was a source of endless fascination. Some rolled down into a tailgate, others lifted up, but all required manual operation. The power window was a luxury few had, and we became experts at the crank and latch system. Road trips, we all did them with no screens or devices. We invented our own entertainment. License plate bingo, I Spy, the alphabet game, for all the activities that we had. The station wagon became a mobile game room with siblings competing and parents mediating from the front seat. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. You know, that was a I'm not touching you. That was a big one. Tailgate party position. The drop-down tailgate was perfect for picnics, drive-in movies, parade watching. It became an instant bench seat complete with metal support that would leave impressions on the backs of your legs. Every family gathering started with "Pop the tailgate." There you go. You knew it was a party after that. Summertime, seat burn. Those vinyl seats were lethal in the summer. We learned to check the seat temperature before sitting down or risk that third-degree burns on the back of your legs. The ritual of throwing blankets over the seats became second nature during the hot weather season. And, of course, who remembers no air conditioning experience? Many wagons didn't have AC back then. They relied on the 40-60 system. 4 windows down, 60 miles an hour. Your hair got tangled, maps flew around, and you couldn't hear anything. But it was our version of climate control. Secret storage, we all had it. Every wagon had hidden compartments under the floor or in the aisles. This became our treasure trove, storing emergency supplies, hidden snacks, or that forgotten toy on the summertime trip. Finding something months later was like discovering a buried treasure. And of course, by then it was the end of an era. When minivans appeared in the 80s, our beloved wagons began disappearing. Modern kids will never know the joy of riding backwards, the freedom of the way back, or the distinctive squeak of those vinyl seats. The station wagon wasn't just a car, it was a way of life.
That was so good.
That was good, yeah. I enjoyed
liked
it.
it,
We
yeah.
had wagons. They were fun. They were fun.
How many brothers and sisters?
I was the youngest of 4. But it wasn't our wagon. We would ride, relatives and things.
Yeah.
My dad always had a Pontiac or a Cadillac or something.
See, my sister and brother-in-law, they had a station wagon, 4 kids, and man, that thing got wore out.
Yeah, they're cool.
They are,
And that's
they're
why I like
very
them to
handy.
today. I like a station wagon.
Well, you know what's so funny? Because really, in essence, the SUVs that everybody drives now is basically a station wagon.
And, you had the doors had ashtrays with cigarette lighters in them and all that. Everybody pushing them. Don't play with the lighter, all that stuff,
Oh yeah.
Doing kid
Well,
stuff.
how about the tattoo that you got on your leg?
Oh,
Taking
yeah.
burning it on your leg.
I'm not touching you. That's a favorite one of mine.
All right, Mars, do you want to do your car review now, or do you want to wait till the bottom of the hour?
That's up to you. I can do it right now. I was just answering Mr. Ainsley. He had a question about their engineering, but I'm good to go. If you
Our
want.
engineering is his engineering. Is it not?
Oh, he's asking questions about the other stuff that you're working on.
okay. Well, I don't know what to do.
I think we need a new raffimator valve.
Do we have time? We only got 3 minutes.
No, we don't.
I can be quick, but not quite that quick.
I don't trust Mike on the quickness.
No, I don't either, and I think that what we're going to do, we're going to right off the top of the next hour,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
I have a story that I want to throw in here while I can. Automakers investing billions of dollars developing more sophisticated driver assistance systems may want to think twice. Consumer demand has stagnated for many of the underlying features in those systems, according to Auto Pacific. The most popular ones support human drivers rather than monitor or critique their behavior, according to findings from the market research firm's latest consumer survey. 88% of respondents viewed parking sensors favorably, according to the findings, while blind spot cameras, 83%, and rear cross traffic alerts with automated emergency braking, 80%, also received high satisfaction marks. Consumers reported their highest levels of disapproval with speed limit warnings and driver monitoring systems, which they viewed as vehicular school marms. 80% say they did not like driver monitoring, while 17% disliked speed limit warnings. Findings may complicate efforts to rely on new technology as a primary means to combat traffic deaths on U.S. roads. Despite an influx of technology offerings, road fatalities remain higher than they were a decade ago. Part of the reason, consumers remain reluctant to pay for technology features even as their awareness of them grows, according to Auto Pacific's research. The InWheelTime Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
Pro-Am Auto Accessories has been serving Houston's auto enthusiasts since 1984, providing world-class products for sports cars, European sedans, and American muscle. Pro-Am is known as the place to go to find exclusive and hard-to-find parts and accessories. Pro-Am is one of the very first distributors in the USA for brands such as Recaro, Redline, Momo, Corbo, and Simpson. Located in the heart of Houston's premier retail and service corridor, the Galleria area, Pro-Am's walk-in storefront includes an 8,000 square foot warehouse, showroom, and installation bays. Pro-Am not only sells parts and accessories, but also offers installation and service. Pro-Am is now reaching a worldwide audience through Pro-Am.com, taking its local reputation to the rest of the world. At Pro-Am Auto, you'll be dealing with a small group of professionals who truly want to help you with your automotive needs. If you don't see what you're looking for on the website, call and Pro-Am will lend you a hand. Pro-Am Auto, 6125 Richmond at Green Ridge in Houston's Galleria area. Call them at 713-781-7755. The award-winning InWheelTime Car Talk Show now reaches 5.3 million folks each year. Check us out on InWheelTime.com, the Odyssey Radio app, YouTube, Facebook, and just about every other entertainment source out there, including our live broadcast every Saturday, 10 to noon Central Time. The InWheelTime Car Talk Show has informative automotive guest interviews, new car reviews, along with popular features including Jeff's Car Culture, the latest new cars, cruise-ins, and racing dates. It's InWheelTime.com. Join us.